So we're here at the LCIL 24 newsroom and we're catching up with our very good friend of the Social Media Cafe, Inky World. How are you?
Alright, thank you. How are you?
Okay. So what sort of day are you having so far?
A very informative one, actually. I've also been partly involved in a project with Paul O'Leary regarding photographing, basically me, going about my daily life as part of a photography project to do with my site and the challenges I face as a result of it.
So what sort of things does that involve? And I know Paul, he's a lecturer, tutor, isn't he, at Leicester College. So how did you get involved in that project?
I got involved in that project because I was talking to a friend of mine who I went to school with, and I found her on Facebook, and I found out that one of her sons was on Paul's course in photography, and I said I was actually looking for someone a photographer who could actually take photographs regarding, like, I was sort of more thinking regarding what I can actually see and what I can't see, etc, etc, etc. Now this project is sort of ballooned a bit somewhat, so it's sort of
got out of hand.
No, it's more sort of giving other people the same challenges that I face, as well as some of the like walkie portraits, things like that, sort of things that people wouldn't necessarily think are challenges, like shallow staircases, steep staircases, lights, angles, darkness, and colour combinations and all kinds of things like that, size of fonts, and sometimes even how cluttered, say, a coffee bar is, like with the furniture, and how I can get around that, or in most cases, how I can't get around it.
Now you're a regular here at the Social Media Cafe. What do you think of the environment that we've tried to create? I mean, with your help as well, we're trying to create. Do you enjoy coming here every Friday?
I love coming here. It's a great way of meeting people, a great way of sort of talking to people about issues that, yes, some of them I do know about, some of them I do know a bit about, but also, like, I may talk to someone who's deaf, or talk to someone who's got a mental health problem, and in this kind of environment I actually feel comfortable in asking questions, and if I were to ask them 2 feet outside the door, it would be a case of, am I going to get thumped for it, rather than am I going to get understood?
Now, when we first met, you introduced yourself as a blogger,
yeah.
And that you'd been running your Inky World blog for a long time. I mean, you're certainly a more prolific blogger than I am. How many blog posts do you have now?
How many blog posts have I got on this version of Inky World? About 400 odd.
Okay. And on the previous version of Inky World?
550.
Okay. And what do you blog about? I mean, do you set yourself the challenge of finding something new to blog about, or do you just kind of blog about the kind of day you've had, or something you've observed, or seen, or read?
Basically a case of, if I'm inspired by anything, or everything, like, can be inspired by the news, can be inspirational people, can be sort of, well, there's an idiot sort of who decided to nail a menu on a wall and I can't see it, and now they're turning in and saying, well, can't you read, kind of thing. And it's sort of issues basically that affect me most of all, sort of things that interest me.
And what sort of feedback do you get from people that have read your blog post? Maybe you've sent them the blog post and they come back to you with some comments or things like that. I mean, are people quite surprised once they meet you maybe if they meet you for the first time that they've read your blog posts?
It's quite funny because I've actually found it the opposite, because I've had people who have known me or think that they've known me for over 20 years. And like the school friend that I was talking to you about earlier, she turned around and she said, how long have I known you for? So I said, we went to school together. Since I've started reading your blog, I've actually started to know a heck of a lot more about you. Like, because I'm sort of not used to talking sensibly or coherently or logically, about my site without people sort of turning around and saying, yo, well, what the hell do you think you're talking about? Sort of ignoring the fact that I've got 43 years experience of it. And sort of, if I sit behind my keyboard, I know people are going to say, oh, it's the anonymity. No, it's not really the anonymity, it's basically, I feel more comfortable by talking through writing rather than talking face to face and verbally, especially if it's something that I think I'm going to get in the neck about. Like sort of, if I go on and start waffling on about sort of things that I find really difficult about my site, like the fact that I find it mentally tiring sometimes, and trying to explain that kind of thing verbally, face to face, can be actually very, very difficult. But sort of seeing it in black, I've noticed that some people are seeing it in black and white, and I didn't think about that like that.
Well, I suppose they're reading the words and they can hear your voice saying them, and it gives them an opportunity to maybe absorb it a little bit more, whereas like the conversation we're having here, at some point there's going to be a pause and then one of us is going to have to fill it.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to you, face to face, whereas, when you're reading something, I think it just gives people an opportunity to reflect on it a little bit more maybe.
Yeah, but also what I sort of find easier about blogging is if I'm writing something, I can sort of write it, post it, forget about it until someone like Joan Costa or someone else at LCIM or one of my other friends turns around and says either, hey, that's a good blog post, or why on earth have you written all that rubbish, and I have to explain it. And it's like, well, yes, people can sort of say, oh well, people always use the anonymity, for want of a better word, although I do state on my website that yes, I am Inky World, and sort of, but people always seem to think like hiding behind a computer screen is a way of generating a platform for abuse. But for me, it's basically a way of generating a platform for education in a way that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do it unless you sort of spent 48 hours with me or something and saw me in the entire range of environments that I can be found in.
It's also an equality thing, isn't it, where you can be on there and go, well, this person's a really good blogger, and read one of your posts that isn't necessarily about your visual impairment, and then meet you and go, oh, you're visually impaired. Whereas if that should then in any way, shape or form affect the way that you blog, it might affect the way that you see the world,
yeah.
But not on the way that you kind of articulate.
Funny you should say that, because on the original Inky World website, the strapline was a sideways view of life, because I know that I see things completely differently from how most other people see.
Literally see the world differently, isn't it? Yeah.
Both literally and metaphorically, like it can be sort of literally due to my sight, or literally due to sort of I will treat someone differently because I was brought up to, I am half Dutch, I was brought up mostly to Dutch rules, to politeness and things like that. And that is kind of a bit of a dichotomy, for want of a better word, because I'm sort of divided into four, if you can sort of work that one out. Like, I am seriously short-sighted. To a normal world, I just wear glasses. I could be sort of normal vision. Most people say that I'm English. I would tell you that I'm Dutch, and it's a bit like a Venn diagram, and having to try and meet
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. One final question for you. Yeah. What were you going to blog about when you get home tonight?
What am I going to blog about when I get home? I've actually got a very good blog post cooking up about this event today in my head. I don't know whether it's going to be posted tonight or whether it's going to be posted tomorrow, but it will definitely get posted.
In account of Inky World, thank you very much.
You're welcome.